Did you know that a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife? It's true. You can cut yourself badly, so pay special attention to this episode. But when you're done, you will know how to safely use and care for your knives, and you learned on Country Life. Country life, country life. How I love to live it, country life farm. The grass is green, the trees are tall. Life is sweet at Country Life Farms. We're going to start with your wooden cutting board, on which you'll be doing all your chopping. It really is a necessary utensil. But a wooden board can actually be a safety hazard. It can be unstable and move all over the place. You don't want to cut your hand when you're chopping and the board flips under your vegetables. What you're going to do first is grab a towel. It can be a kitchen towel or even paper towels. You're going to wet the towel and then squeeze all of the water out. Now you simply place it directly underneath your cutting board, and now it's perfect for cutting. Take your chef's knife. A knife can actually cause a lot of damage, so it's important that we learn how to properly handle a chef's knife. Some things are common sense. You never want to take a chef's knife that's got a nice fine blade and open a can with it. You've got can openers for that. Nor would you try to peel a label with it. Not only are these things inefficient, they're dangerous. So always keep your knife safe. So what do you do when you want to cut a lasagna in a Pyrex glass pan or a metal pan? You're going to cut that lasagna with some dull knife, like this one that I found. I'm sure you'll find some dull knife in your house, and that's what you want to cut on glass, ceramic, or metal, not your chef's knife. You will never place your knife in the dishwasher. You can't make sure that your knife isn't going to be hit by other things in the dishwasher, bending your blade. If you have a knife with a wooden handle, the hot water will warp your knife, and the dishwasher detergent is actually very corrosive and will chemically corrode your knife. A dish rack is not an idea either. You can't make sure it's not going to hit the other dishes, and you would never hold a knife like this in the dishwasher. When knives are dirty, you never want to put them in a sudsy sink. Someone will reach in not knowing it's there, and they're going to cut themselves. Always set them on the side of the sink and then wash them separately by hand. To wash your knife, take your knife and hold its blade away from you. You don't want to wash it on the bottom of the blade because you can get a bad cut running it down here, and the knife will cut through the sponge as well. Run your sponge along the top of the blade or on the sides, always paying attention and being very focused when washing your knives. I dry my knives as soon as I wash them so that they don't get rusted or stains. If you put them in a drawer, they're going to clatter around and get dented quickly. Either hold them in a knife rack, which is an easy way to store them, or you can have a magnetic strip that you can attach to the wall, and they'll stay there with their blades not touching each other. There are also special covers that protect their blades. You can then use your kitchen drawer for them. Your knife should only touch things that are softer than its blade, which is why we chose a wood cutting board or a plastic cutting board in our kitchen essentials. I've seen some people grab it back here like they're going to cut the vegetables all dainty. Not only will you not receive enough pressure to cut something, but you don't have control. This can move all over the place. Neither will you put your finger on top of the blade. You're going to hold your knife with what's called a pinch grip. You're going to use your thumb and your pointer, and you're actually pinching the top of the blade at the back of the knife. And then you're going to use the rest of your fingers around the handle. That way you're going to have a firm grip on what you're going to be cutting. Now that you're holding it right, you'll notice that it's very difficult for it to come out of your hands accidentally. It may feel strange to hold it this way. It might not feel comfortable at first, but with time, it will become second nature to you. Now, we're going to show you how to not cut your fingers in the most common way. There are two places most people cut themselves. First, if they're poking at their vegetables with the tip of their knife, they're going to nick the front of their fingers. Always remember that you are handling a sharp knife, and they always need to be treated respectfully. But more importantly, it is when you're chopping. One huge mistake is have all your fingers lay flat. As you can see, my fingers are in danger of being cut up. We'll show you in a minute how your fingers are protected. But worse is what we call the lazy thumb. The cook can be holding their fingers correctly, but their thumb goes behind when they start cutting, and what is going to happen to their thumb? One of the worst accidents I've seen was someone trying to watch her 4 fingers, and she ended up cutting her thumb really bad. You actually want to form a claw, including the thumb, so that your fingers go in and your thumb is pulled back. Your fingers are going to be protected the whole time, and they're actually going to give you the support you need for chopping. Again, it may be strange at first, but you've got to learn this right from the start. When you're cutting, you should lean over a little bit, but don't bend over the food. You'll get tired quickly, just like this. Most people are not taught how to chop vegetables right from the start. Many just chop really aggressively down like this, and they don't get a nice, even cut. It also wears quickly on your knife's sharpness. The easiest and simplest way is to do a rocking motion when you cut, going back and forth with the knife. Think about it like a wave. And we're going to show you more when you watch our onions video. Now we're going to talk about your knives being sharp. You've heard that a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp one. This is because a duller knife requires more force, which results in less control, resulting in more accidents. A sharp knife is not only going to make it safer from cutting yourself, but a sharp knife is going to make it easier to cut vegetables. So we're going to talk about knife sharpeners. You could get a sharpening stone, but it makes a mess, and I don't think it's an easy thing to learn to sharpen your knife. What we've got in our kitchen is a simple knife sharpener that costs around $10. You can get one of these more expensive ones, and it's always good to get an electric one if you can afford it. But we don't recommend that you sharpen your knives more than once, maybe twice per year. With sharpeners, you're actually removing a little bit of the metal from the knife every time you sharpen it. You may run out of a knife pretty soon if you're doing it every week. And you won't have to when you learn on how a honing rod works. When you get a sharpened knife, the edge starts out as a perfect V at the cutting edge. But as you start to use it, the edge is going to fall over on itself, and you will get these microscopic little jagged edges. It's not going to have that perfect V that we started with. In other words, it may be fine, but it doesn't seem as sharp as it could be. And this is where the honing rod comes in. Honing rods are often mistaken as sharpeners, but a honing rod is not sharpening your blade. Rather than removing metal like a sharpener does, it realigns the edge it was set when you sharpened it. In other words, the honing rod is going to take any of those microscopic little jagged edges and align them back to the center. I'm using a steel honing rod. These ceramic honing rods are usually a lot finer, but you can use the typical steel ones. First, you're going to learn how to hold it. You don't want to hold your fingers in front. You can really cut yourself badly. Honing rods generally have a protector in front of it. You always want to protect your hand behind the metal protector. There are a couple of different ways in which to hone your knives. The most common way you see is done toward yourself, but I've never felt that this was safe. So you can do one of two things. You can place a clean towel on your kitchen counter. Place your honing rod on top, Place your hand behind the holder and then hone them by going down. But I like it the way you do it when you hold the rod pointing up with my fingers still behind the safety, and I'm going to sharpen away from me. You're going to want to start at the bottom and go all the way to the top. Do not stop in the middle. You don't want to just do part of the knife, you want to do the entire swoop across. Do it equally on each side, alternating between both sides equally, about 4 times on each side. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Use a damp paper towel to get your knife clean afterwards. And there you have it. Your knife will cut as if it's just sharpened. There are people who prefer honing once a week, but I recommend we use it every day you use your knife. And that, my friend, is how you care for your knives. I'm Jerwin Amador. If you liked our show, I'd super appreciate it if you could just share this by remembering to hit that subscribe button. And do us a favor and hold that thumbs up button. It really helps us a lot. I'll see you next time at Country Life.